Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is the Narcissistic Resistance, and this resistance video is sponsored by contribution from Anonymous, and here's her story. Hi, Ollie. You recently did a video for me called Stop Having Narcissism Delivered. I'm still chuckling about the narcissism with a side of misery. Laughing about it not only helps, it heals. It was so deeply healing to hear you speak my story, and even more to read the supportive and loving comments. Thank you to everyone who commented. It showed that you could see me, and that even though I didn't believe it until recently, I do matter. Special thanks to Zoltar, Lisa MPA, and Treasure Travel. I'm about 18 months no contact with my family of origin. I found your channel over a month ago and have been watching every chance I get. Memories are just popping up randomly, so this won't be a story, but a list of now remembered events. Hope that's okay. My mom. I had severe asthma as a child. This was before rescue inhalers, so when I had an attack, I had to just keep calm and wait it out. There was a pill I could take, but it took about 30 minutes to work, so often an attack would last about that long. Rescue inhalers have been around since asthma inhalers have been around since like the late 1700s. I think it was invented like 1778. They told you that there were no inhalers available. That unless you're 300 years old and were around for the Revolutionary War, asthma inhalers have been around forever. What do you mean there were no rescue inhalers? That's what they'll get you to believe, though, and you won't even question it. Have you ever even questioned, hey, when was the inhaler even invented? I mean, you must have. I mean, I remember inhalers when I was a kid. Inhalers being used in the 50s and the 40s. You see them like from movies, and inhalers have been around since, like, asthma was one of the earliest disease diagnosed. And inhalers have been used since about 1778. That's what the narcissist will get you to do, though. Why? Probably because they were hoping you'd die from one of these attacks. I had convinced myself if I had something cold to drink, it helped me breathe better. I remember several times this started occurring once my body started to develop 11 or 12. Having an attack and asking my mom to get me a cold drink of water. You are going to think I am making this up, but I'm not. She brought me hot water in a dirty teacup. It had remnants of tea and milk still floating in it. This happened a few times, and each time she gaslit me that she didn't know, etc. Kind of like she didn't know about rescue inhalers. This woman was trying to kill you. I finally stopped asking her, and I just got it myself. Not an easy feat when you can't breathe. I think that's the point. I felt and still feel that the message she was giving me was, would you just die already? Yeah. The fact that you think that there were no rescue inhalers available when you were a kid is insane. Is insane. Quite honestly, okay, in this day and age, if she tried to pull that shit and you did die of an asthma attack, she'd be up for murder charges. When I got my period at 11 years old, my mom gave me this box from Kotex. Now you have to remember this is before mini pads. I'm 58. Sorry guys for the upcoming details. Yeah, if you're 58, there were still rescue inhalers available. It's totally false. It's totally false that there were no rescue inhalers available. Totally false. The only pads that were available required you to use a belt that went around your waist, and the pad then was threaded through the front and the back. Any woman who has given birth will know what I mean, as they still use this contraption for the bleeding after. She did not explain any of it to me. I was horrified because it looked like the underwear. Hold on, I'm sorry. She did not explain any of it to me. I was horrified because it looked like the underwear that I had seen on my friend's dad's Playboy magazine, like a garter belt. So I had evidence that my mom knew I had started my period. However, we never ever discussed it. She never asked me, did I need anything ever? I am grateful that my period was not regular throughout high school. I made it through by using toilet paper that I would wrap around like a pad and put between me and my underwear. Looking back, I am amazed that it never occurred to me to ask her for help. And even more than that she never asked me if I needed anything. My sister was 11 months younger than me, and to this day I have no idea what she did. That's because she was trying to kill you. She couldn't care enough to get you a rescue inhaler. Probably lied to you that I can't get past the rescue inhaler thing. It's insane that you think that there were no rescue inhalers. That all there was a pill. That's just not true. At the beginning of the summer between junior and senior year of high school, I tried out for the varsity cheerleader team. My partner made it on the team, but I did not. I fell into what I see as a depression. I spent that summer laying on my bed reading the same book over and over. My mom would routinely come in my room and mock me. Honestly, I honestly don't know how I survived that summer. Still think she didn't want to kill you? Well, no, you did think that. After I had moved out and started my own family, I went to counseling primarily to understand what was going on so that I didn't pass it on to my daughter. I had a vague inkling that something was off with my childhood, but I didn't know what. I had made a list of things I wanted to ask my mom about. I was very gentle in the confrontation. Mom, I just want to understand what was going on at the time. Her response was utter shock and surprise, and to tell me that she was a very good mother, and I was an ungrateful daughter, and she ran crying into her room. My dad told me it was time for me to leave. That went well. Of course, they're always going to be the victim at the end. My dad. It took me a long time to see that my dad was a covert narc. I was the oldest of 5 kids, but somehow I was never a kid. I would say that it was more like I was a bastard child that they were stuck with having to raise. For the record, I looked just like my dad. I would say later that I was the extra pantry, that my dad felt that whatever was mine was his too, and he was entitled to it. 1. This is not a huge example, but it paints the picture of my dad's entitlement. There was a window that needed to be replaced because it didn't lock well. My husband had placed this pole in the track to make sure you couldn't open it from the outside until we could replace the window. So this one time my dad is over and we notice that the pole is missing. That is weird. What happened to the pole? My dad gets his weird look on his face, goes to his car and brings back the pole. He decided he could use it and just took it. Never ask. I have hundreds of examples of this entitlement. Yep. They just take shit. They just take shit. I mean, that's something Charlene dealt with her family, where, whether it would be her brothers or even her father, she's trying to go to work and she's going through her wallet and her Metro card is missing to get on the subway, and her dad, I just went in and took it because I needed to use it. Well, what's the problem? Well, I needed to go. Or she'd find comic books that in her brother's backpack that were hers. Like, why did you take this? Oh, because I knew you'd say no. That level of entitlement. Because you didn't even ask me. Well, if I asked you, you'd say no. So you just took it. Great. Great. 2, there are many instances where a family problem occurred, and at the time he told me about it. I would say fine. I would say that there was a fire, just glowing embers. Something with some rational choices could be put out. I would have to say that this one is a pattern that repeated over and over between me and my dad. I would share with my dad what I saw as the obvious solutions. He would never follow the advice. He would keep doing what he wanted to do, and the situation would go from a few glowing embers to the entire forest being on fire. Then, and only then, once there was a conflagration, he would call me and beg me to help. Usually this involved the health of another family member, so I always felt compelled to fix the situation to the benefit of the family member. We did this over and over, and all he's trying to do is eat up your time, is waste as much time of yours as possible. It's very borderline. It sounds to me your father's probably a male borderline, if I had to guess. Without a doubt, male borderline. 3, this one brings me so much shame, and I still don't know why. At some point in junior year of high school, my friends started to get acceptance letters from the colleges they applied to, and I wondered why when I was going to get my letter. Your parents probably threw them out. I could still feel the shame wash over me as I was led to understand that you have to apply to those colleges in order to get a letter. You didn't even apply. See, this is what I'm talking about. Okay, if your parents kept you so ignorant you didn't even know how to apply to college, or that you even had to, it's obvious you would believe that there was no such thing as an asthma rescue inhaler in the 60s when you were a child. I mean, honestly, this is how ignorant your parents kept you. The narcissist keeps you ignorant for a reason, and they keep you dangerously ignorant. Don't feel bad. There's shit I find that I am so dangerously ignorant about because I was just never even educated about it by my parents. Over and over and over again, and it's purposeful, and it's done, and it's done with intent to keep you that way. That you had to take the SAT, etc. I just didn't know. The decision that I would not be going to college was already made for me by my parents. How did I not know this information? Maybe because it coincided with the depression of not being chosen on the team. Because you walk around in a box, in a sphere of protection to protect yourself from these people. And when you do that, when you're in protection mode 24/7, you miss the outside world. You miss what's going on around you. You miss what's being said by your teachers and by your friends and what everyone else is doing. Because all you're focused on is surviving your life with these people. Four, my father used to tell me that I could do anything. He would also share his hopes and dreams with me. I always felt uncomfortable because he would say this in front of my mom, who always looked unhappy, like he should be saying it to her. I'm not exactly sure, but it felt like somehow he was putting me in the middle of their relationship. Yep, and that's what a borderline would do, trying to use his own daughter to make his wife jealous. In any case, somehow I did walk away with the belief that I could be successful. I became the first and only of my siblings to graduate from college, a local junior college. When it looked like I was going to really graduate from college because I was working full-time and doing it all by myself, it took 5 years to get an AA. Towards the end, my dad started charging me rent to live at home, knowing at the time I was making $2.25 an hour and I was paying all my bills. I didn't even eat his food. I was costing him what? The water I used to shower with? His message was clear: move out. If I moved out, I would not finish school. I made a decision that he could throw me out, but I was not going to move out. I was going to finish school. At my graduation, my mom showed up by herself. When I asked her, where's dad? She had some story, but the reality is he chose not to go. Right, like the typical borderline bitch he is. Like the jealous borderline bitch he is. Jealous of his own daughter's success. Like a woman. Thinks like a woman. Your father thinks like a woman. The real kicker was hearing him tell my son 35 years later the following fuckery. We were so proud of your mom. If we had the money, we would have. Complete revision of history. Well, this is long enough. I hope that sharing my story helps someone. Thank you again, Ollie, for all you do. You are a shining light in a very old, dark corner. I'm looking forward to your comments and feedback of your subs. Thank you, Anonymous. You put your name at the end. I almost read it, but thank you. Look, your father was a borderline bitch. Your mother was an outwardly aggressive murderer, if she could have been. Your parents kept you ignorant on purpose to the level that you still think. You're still in a box right now that you think that there was no inhaler available for you in the late 50s and early 60s. That's crazy. Inhalers have been around since the late 1700s. If you know if you're around other asthmatics, you know this stuff. They keep you ignorant on purpose, and it's dangerous. So, thank you so much for your contribution and your story. I really appreciate it. I hope this helps. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, a narcissist you'd like to expose, you'd like to set up Skype, a phone call, have a private video made, or a Facebook live chat, or you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and expanding, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal and email links in the description box. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been the Narcissistic Resistance.